This video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. Hi guys, and welcome to Geri Reviews and to this review and reaction after it of Heavy Metal, the 1981 Jesus movie. So guys, some of you that, well, you know me very well, what I like, you will know that probably I will not touch a movie like this because, I just know that it's not for me. So disclaimer, it's not for me. So why did I watch it and review it? Well, because one of you guys, actually, one of my dearest and most awesomeness supporters here in Primark, Mattie, he decided to support me on Patreon, which, one of the tiers there is for me to review whatever you like. So he chose this. He really wanted me to see it, and I really have no time to dedicate to cite things or, well, pretty much to anything. So I have to be super, super, super particular in the things that I prioritize. But he did this for me, so of course I watched it as soon as I could. So, where do I start? First, Mattie, to you, I did warn you though that this is not going to be my thing, and it's not. I did see some shots from it, I think on YouTube. The animation looked interesting, but that was totally without the context, so I couldn't see or have known and grasp the scope of this to understand whatever. But now that I have seen it, I get it, and I don't like it at all, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like it, of course. Firstly, this is about one particular bow that's like the evil bow of the evil bows, and the story it's just revolving around it, like the overall story. It's basically about how evil corrupts uh, a lot of different people across a lot of different worlds and maybe times even. So that's the common thing, but all of those stories are separate and they are not connected to each other except by this evil glowing thing. Huh. And also, the animation style is different here and there. It starts very interestingly with the guy, floating in space on a car, which is funny because this just reminds me of Elon Musk, which happened in recent years, but this happened 40 years ago. I mean, this movie happened 40 years ago. I know that it is that this is based on the magazine from like 1977, and it was a niche thing, and they wanted to make it more popular. So I guess they gathered whatever budget they could, around how many million I forgot, 3, 7, and it ended up making 20, and then it ended up being like a classic just because the times and what it was. It didn't have to censor itself a lot, and that's one of the things, guys, that we're going to touch upon. So why I didn't like it? Well, I have to start with all of the separate stories. I can overlook the quality of the animation, but I cannot overlook the substance of each story. So the cab driver, that was I think the first story, that was disgusting to just see, and it has, all those stories have different style to them. Like the cab driver was like almost noir, but it was in color. And then we have the first women from all of all of these stories, and she was extremely generic, extremely just horribly presented, basically. Yeah, all of the women here are presented horribly, pathetic, weak, very easy to sleep with someone for absolutely no real substance, reason, no context. Every story here where a woman slept with someone, it was structured and presented as a adult movie. It was as much as deep. I mean, it went as far as an adult movie would go. So that's not very far. All of those movies, stories, all of the sex scenes, all of the women presentation, all of that was absolutely atrocious and very, very insulting, especially in today's times. Now I understand that that's very, very old, so we can just say, okay, it's just a product of its time. Of course, it is. But still, that doesn't make it not cheap, because it is. It has no, not enough context, not enough story to these separate stories, not enough character to the women mostly. Not that the guys have a lot, but some did. Some did. They had, like, compared to the women, they had a few points above the character development. The women were just objects. They were absolutely objects. They were naked all the time. Once again, for no reason, for no real reason, some reason that you say, well, this has a narrative and this serves the story and this and that. I mean, just look at Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, we have a lot of nude stuff, a lot of these scenes, but the story is there. And those scenes serve the story. They show us something about the characters that are participating in this. Like, for example, when Littlefinger was trying to teach his, his girls from the brothel, he was their boss. He was trying to teach them how to do things, how to perform, so they seem convincing to the clients. And whatever they did, as far as it was kind of disturbing to watch. I mean, I'm sure that there are some people that would not find that disturbing at all, but in general, it was meant to be very, very, like, you have to see this, kind of a scene. Although it was that, it served the story. It helped to see Littlefinger, who he was, how he taught, how disgusting he was, in general, how practical, only understanding money, type of a person he was, how uncomfortable the women were, and they had to just get over it right there and there, just continue. Just so many things that these scenes and other scenes like this were telling us. Even when Khaleesi had to do stuff with Drago the first time, it was so painful to watch. It still told us a lot about him and how she changed him, like episode or two later, what she did differently then. So it has meaning. That I'm just giving you an example here, just for shock value and nothing more. And you do know that I do not like things that are for shock value alone, without any substance, because then they just lose value. And especially at the end, when all was said and done and the new protector was revealed, I mean, the one that's supposed to protect the world from this evil, that just didn't mean much, because the woman that we saw, which was the last story, actually I like the last story the most. The woman here on the poster, she was like Xena, Sheena. I mean, she was supposed to be like this, of course. Xena and Sheena, I don't know if Sheena is like earlier than this or not. She's like the Beastmaster anyway. The point is, she's supposed to be like a strong woman, but she was extremely weak, very slow in her movements, extremely weak. She was very easily cut down, almost cut down. I mean, not dead, but slice here and there from the bad guy, who was just generic bad guy on planet with races, and he was racist towards her. She was like a Targaryen from Game of Thrones. She was called something else, but point is, she kind of looked like that. And she was immediately shown absolutely naked, so objectifying women in every single point of view. And that I am not about the modern SJW stuff. You know that I hate those things with the passion, because they're not objective, actually. They're not really helping women in film or whatever, representation of women, whatever you can call it, here is exactly what all of these HJWs should be fighting, against. But such representation of women today just doesn't exist. Or if we see naked women, it's gonna be for some meaningful reason, or it's going to be such a bad movie that nobody will care. But back then, I guess it was normal to show women if you don't have any censorship in this manner. So even the great heroine here was completely objectified, stripped down of her clothes. I mean, not stripped down, she was just naked already. And then we saw how she is getting dressed, which was also very slow. And yeah, anyway, zooming in on her, yeah. And she was shown to be very, and I mean, competent to a point in a fight, and then very easily captured, tortured, um, almost very easily killed at the end. But thankfully she managed, and her birth as well. But still, ridiculous, very weak, very weak. She didn't say one word, one word. I mean, like I said, guys, all the things that today we have complaints about that actually don't exist. In that movie, all of this exists. Nobody's complaining now about it, but everything is there. So I cannot just like skip this and mention it, because if you can't present half of the cast in some kind of at least meaningful way, so we can have all of this that is going on, then what to tell her? It's dumb. One guy that was a teenager, like, grew, came to another planet, and he immediately had sex. Like, what? There's so many stuff like that. I mean, either disgusting, illogical, just a big mishmash. There's so many sci-fi ideas that are taken from other things, or just pull out of their asses, put there on the screen, just like a mishmash, and mixed together with other stuff. And we have stories. So, yeah, there's that. I would give this like my honest opinion, because I cannot twist my soul, as we say here in Bulgaria, but I cannot give this more than 4 out of 10. It is, I mean, not all of the old things that existed are good. There's some bad movies there from every era. I watched a very bad movie just the other day. That's modern. So there's like horrible atrocities throughout cinema history, and this is not only very niche, but it just doesn't have any drop of a substance in its body. Just doesn't. And all of these stories could be made interesting. They could have had some meaning. I mean, character development, character anything, world building, whatever it is, and done in a way that you can still keep the stories, but make all the characters being real characters, and then just some drawings that move their mouths, because that is that is the most amount of depth that you're going to get from this. And just like shock. That's it. Okay, have to drink water. It's basically pictures on the screen, and among those pictures there's boobs and sex, and that is it. I mean, if they just made women to be sex robots, there will be no difference at all. That's how skin deep they are. Even less so, actually. I'm reading what I can. Heavy metal and better story, characters, animation, and music. I don't expect anything. I just expected at least to, because it's an old movie, it's going to have like a good storytelling thing. So I was ready to overlook the oldness of the animation and all those things, yeah, but when the storytelling there's not there, I just have nothing to grasp, nothing to catch. Okay, guys, it's very late. Really have to go. I'm sorry, Matty, that this has, for me, such a lower score, but I gotta be myself, gotta tell you what I really think, as always. And by the end of, I mean, at the end of the day, you can like whatever you want. That has nothing to do with what I like and doesn't have to do. I mean, some people don't like Xena, and I'm not gonna do anything about it. They don't like Xena, okay? You don't get it. I get it. You don't get it, okay? I don't get this thing, so there's that. Doesn't matter as long as you like it. So, yes, if you want me to do whatever review you want me to do, it has to be on Patreon and get that tier because movies take a lot of time to watch. I cannot just and do the review. I cannot just do that. So you gotta get the tier, guys. You're gonna support me, and we're going to have a video after it, and I'm going to interact with you guys in the chat live. So if you think that's worth it, you can do it. And for all the rest of you that want to get my coaching, it is at OnlyFans. I do all of my meaningful sex educational content there, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more, guys. But with that being said, love ya. Hope you enjoyed this review still. Let me know what you think in the comments about the movie. Kissing you, and until next time, Andre, hi to you. Till next time, guys.